What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy and welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's the Game Week 26 preview. So we're going to go through some of your questions and topics that you've put to me on YouTube and Twitter as always, and talk about captaincy at the end as well. Before we jump into that, this video has once again been sponsored by OneFootball. If you have not already checked it out, it is a completely free football app, lineup news, team news, general football news, all the live scores and stuff when the games are on as well, so you can see just how many FPL points are coming in for you. If you want to check it out, there's a link in the description below. Works on Android, iOS devices, or you can just search in the relevant stores for OneFootball and go from there. Like I said, completely free. Give it a go, see what you think. So first up, is it time to get rid of John Lundstram? Now, we kind of answered this question before, and the answer's always been along the same lines. He's a 4 million defender. There's no need to get rid of him while he's still playing. Even if you've got a bit of selling value there, he's 4 million, you have him. He enables you to have more expensive players elsewhere. The difference is now, it looks like he may have finally lost his place in that Sheffield United team. Either way, I think going forward, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to be confident that he's going to start week in, week out. The only kind of spanner in the works is, after missing the last 2 games, that Chris Wilder's been saying some stuff that kind of makes me think he might even start the next game week. So he's kind of come out and said, we're covered now positions-wise with genuine competition all over the park. The players have to rise to that challenge. I was thrilled when John Lundstram came on and basically because of his attitude against Crystal Palace. And he also said, he's basically said, you've all got a problem now. I've played so well so far this season. I kind of expect that from everybody. So he's kind of saying that Lundstram's come on, shown what he can do, and obviously he has played well for the majority of the season as well, and now maybe he's going to start. We just don't know, and I guess that's a problem going forward. If you're in a position where you've got a good bench option, you could potentially bench him this week and play someone else and see what happens. You could play him and hope that he starts. Obviously, the only issue is last game week he did come on and just get a 1-pointer, so that could happen again. I think if you've got other problems to sort out at this point, or you've got a good bench option, you could just keep him and see what happens next week. I'm on wildcard, so I'm definitely getting no real questions there, because going forward, I just don't have the confidence that he's definitely going to start every single week, which is really what we want. In terms of replacements, I'd probably stick to Sheffield United. I just think they've been so good this season. They don't really look like they're going to stop keeping clean sheets anytime soon. I think Stevens is probably the best like for like. He's probably a bit more expensive again if you got Lundstram at 4 million. But attacking wise, he looks like the best option outside of Lundstram. So that's probably where I'd be going. But I think even if he starts the next game, will you be confident he starts the next one, then the next one? And it's always going to be a problem. So not a priority to get rid of maybe, but I don't think he's someone we necessarily need in our teams 100% now like before. A few people have been asking me as well about cheap enablers at the back. So obviously we've had the likes of Lundstram before. Kelly, Rico have kind of... Well, Kelly's lost his place. Rico is okay, but he plays for Bournemouth, who haven't been too good recently. So there are some other options you could look at. So there's Tanganga at Spurs, been playing fullback, played left back as well a couple of times. Danny Rose obviously gone now to Newcastle, but Sessegnon did play versus Norwich. So the only problem I guess with Tanganga, and maybe Spurs supporters and followers might be able to comment better than me, is he going to play week in, week out? Well, they maybe use Sessegnon there in that position again at some point. Obviously, in the tougher matches, you'd expect Tanganga to start, but you'd want him to play in those easier fixtures as well. So it'd be interesting to see whether he does. Only 4 million. The fixtures are not great coming up. Villa away is decent enough for an attacking point of view. I'm not sure I'd want to play a defender there, though. Chelsea away, Wolves at home, Burnley away, Man United at home. So not really games I'd expect too many clean sheets. So I wouldn't go for him right now. Maybe on wildcard as a long-term potential option for future kind of game weeks, maybe, but I think I prefer Lascelles for 0.2 million more. Slightly better fixtures. So after Arsenal and Palace away, they have Burnley, Sheffield United and Aston Villa. 3 home fixtures in the next 4 after the next 2. So I'd probably look at him at 4.2 million. There's a bit of talk about how they've actually expected goals conceded is quite high, but they haven't actually conceded that many goals. So potentially a little bit lucky, which could be the case. But they've also got a very good keeper in Dubravka. And I think the fixtures are there for clean sheets. And obviously you'd hope to get a couple, maybe even just one attacking return from Lascelles. For 4.2 million, I think clean sheets is the kind of maximum you should really expect. And if they get a goal or an assist here or there, then that's obviously an added bonus. Brandon Williams was looking like an option, but then he lost his place to Shaw. Well, not necessarily lost his place, but he got rotated with Shaw. And Shaw actually played very well against Wolves. So I don't think Brandon Williams is an option now. And you've got Hanley at Norwich. I'm just not sure I can trust Norwich for clean sheets, no matter what the fixture is. From Game Week 30, they have a pretty nice run of fixtures. I think it's 3 home games in 4 against Southampton, Everton and Brighton. But even for 4 million, I'm not sure I would expect too many points from Hanley. Then again, if you're mainly playing a first 11 and you're not worried about things like bench boost, then having a 4 million enabler to allow you to spend money elsewhere is an option. But I still think Lascelles is the one for me. And outside of that, I'm probably going to spend a bit more money on my defence, I think. And then we have the yearly question, should we stay away from blank game week players? Now, I think it really just depends on the team and players. And obviously the main thing you've got to think about is obviously form as one, but also the fixtures before and after the blank game week. Does that make a player worth bringing in? What is their price? Who are the other options, etc.? So I think if the fixtures are no good up until game week 28, then anyway, you're not going to bring them in. But if they're good, there's not necessarily a good reason to completely avoid them. So let's go through the 4 teams. I'll give you my opinion. So Arsenal, before the blank, have Newcastle at home and Everton at home, which is pretty good. And then after the blank, it's West Ham at home. So 3 home games in a row. Obviously, you've got the blank in between Newcastle or Everton and West Ham. And then Brighton away. So the fixtures before are good. The fixtures after are good. So potentially, yes, you could go for an Arsenal player. The problem is, who do you go for? Martinelli, 4.6 million up front. Just not convinced he's definitely going to start week in, week out going forward. He might do, and then in which case 4.6 million is a great price. I don't know if I'm massively confident to say that he definitely will. Aubameyang looks like a good option. He's been consistent all season, was unlucky not to score at the weekend as well. So you could look at him. He's a very expensive option to then blank in game week 28. And also, I'm not sure how confident I'd be about captaining him. You're probably going to look elsewhere for captain this week and then the coming weeks as well. So he's probably not an absolute priority. But I think if you do want a differential striker, he could be the one. I think his fixtures are probably worthy of just benching him in game week 28. And remembering that everyone else is going to be in a similar position with players that are blanking, especially for like Sheffield United and teams like that, and Man City, that he could be worthwhile. Outside of that, I'm not sure if there's any Arsenal players I'd be going for anyway. In terms of Villa, I think the fixtures for this one will put me off. So Spurs at home and Southampton away before the blank. And then Leicester away and Chelsea home after the blank. So the fixtures aren't great. I also don't think the Villa options are that great either. You've got Grealish, and I think if you already own Grealish, absolutely keep him for the next couple and then maybe reassess around the blank. But I don't think he's a player I'd be bringing in right now. And as good as Target has looked, and I think as an attacking fullback, he could be an option at 4.4 million. Again, the fixtures just don't scream clean sheets to me, so I wouldn't be looking there either. So for Arsenal and Villa, I'd say the team and options as players go are not great. For Arsenal, the fixtures are good. For Villa, they're just not. Man City, again, the fixtures are kind of quite mixed. I've talked about maybe getting rid of Kevin De Bruyne. So West Ham at home looks great. They've conceded the most shots in the box over the last 4 game weeks. Aguero could be a great captain option this week. Mahrez is a differential. If you've not, or because Sterling's injured, I should say. But then it's Leicester away, which is going to be tough enough, especially if Ndidi's back. Then it's a blank. Then it's Man United away, which I think could be tough too. And then Burnley at home, which is decent. So Man City are an interesting one. I think if you're going to punt on a captain this week, then they could be worth a nice look in. Maybe keep them for Leicester away. Hope they get something there. And then get rid for the blank. I don't think they're necessarily a long-term hold. For wildcarders, myself included in that, it could go for Aguero plus a really cheap midfielder, and then for game week 28 switch that, put some more money into midfield and slightly less up front and get 2 better players, especially if you're looking to bench boost. So an idea that I've had is Hayden and Aguero for game week 26, captain Aguero. Then in game week 28, swap those 2 for Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy, just as Leicester go on their great run of fixtures. So that could be an option. But for Man City, yeah, I think they're good fixtures beforehand, but not necessarily afterwards. So, like I said, if you're going for the West Ham game, great. If not, I'd probably avoid. And then Sheffield United, great fixtures before, great fixtures after, cheap enough to bench. I think absolutely you should definitely get them if you still need them. So I might look at bringing Stevens in. Bournemouth and Brighton at home, great. Blank, I'll sell him, bench him even. And then Norwich at home, Newcastle away. So Sheffield United, definite holds, or even buys, I think. Man City, yes, maybe for the West Ham fixture, but not really outside of that. Villa, I would avoid if you don't already own them. And Arsenal, maybe if you want to punt for Aubameyang. So I've got quite a few questions on Man United players as well, especially around the likes of Martial, Bruno Fernandes. This isn't just me wanting to talk about Man United. So first of all, the fixtures are not great. I know I bought in Fernandes for my own team, but I knew the fixtures weren't great, and I really probably wouldn't be punting on Man United players right now unless you really need that ultimate differential in Fernandes, or maybe if you want to hold Martial, because there's perhaps not great options outside of him at the moment anyway. So the fixtures are Chelsea away, Watford at home, Everton away, Man City at home, Spurs away. I'm not sure there's going to be a huge amount of goals there, especially with Rashford still injured, Pogba not there either. It's a little bit of a worry. We're not quite sure how they're going to line up with Fernandes and Ighalo potentially in the team. We'll talk about Ighalo in a minute. I think good fixtures from Game Week 31 onwards. So I think this is a good period to maybe monitor Man United, see how they line up, especially when they start getting players back from injury, and then see how they're looking going into Game Week 31, because that is a good fixture run. That's definitely when I'll be looking at Man United players again, as I always do. The thoughts on Fernandes for his first game. So it was against Wolves. It was tough enough anyway. Not a lot really happened. The expected goals for both sides was really, really low. And he started as number 10, but he quickly got moved back, partly because Pereira had got a yellow card, so he needed to move further forward, so he didn't get sent off, basically. So Fernandes got pushed back and didn't really have any shots in the box of note. He had a shot from outside the box, which was quite nice. He kind of monopolised set pieces a lot as well, though I didn't think the delivery was that good. But it's hard to kind of rate him for one game where he didn't get to play in the number 10 position against Wolves. I think the next game, Matic will be back from suspension, so he should play alongside Fred. Fernandes will go to number 10, and I should give him like a much better of account of how he can play. I think as a footballer and like from a Man United fan point of view, I liked the way he was kind of organising things. He was kind of telling players where to run, where to look for the ball and stuff like that. From an FPL point of view, it's really hard to kind of sell him at the moment to you because there wasn't really a lot that went on in that Wolves game. I expect better things going forward. I just think he's probably a wait and see. Ighalo may or may not play. You could see a situation maybe where he plays up front, Martial plays left wing, Daniel James plays right wing, and Fernandes plays in kind of a central, number 10 position. The problem is Martial kind of started the season saying he wanted to play striker. That's where they've played him. There's no guarantee that Ighalo comes in and plays. Maybe they could play with two up top, but the problem with Man United right now is we just don't know. So if I had Martial, I would probably keep him. Matic back, Fernandes number 10. I think that could create opportunities for Martial up front. Penalties-wise, we don't even know who's going to be on them for sure. Obviously, if Matt is on the pitch, he could potentially get them. Martial might have them with Rashford and Popper off them. There's even talk of Fernandes maybe getting them because his record's pretty good, but we just don't know. And Man United do get quite a few penalties. So Martial, I think, I would probably hold him unless you've got something you can really do nicely with that transfer. But looking at the other options around that price point, I'm not sure there's too many right now, unless you want to take a punt on Spurs' Bergwijn, who did really well against Man City. And like I said, Ighalo, just not sure if he's going to play or not. So it's a tough one to go there for Man United. In terms of what to do with Maddison and Grealish, I think if you've already kept Maddison this long, it's only kind of a couple more fixtures you've got to get out of the way, Wolves and Man City, until they get really good again. Then it's Norwich, Villa, Watford, Brighton. I don't think he's done enough necessarily to be an inclusion in that FPL squads at the moment. He's not really having too many shots in the box, only 2 in the last 4 game weeks. He's had 8 goal attempts, but most of them have come from outside the box. He has created 14 chances though, so very, very creative. But obviously you've got Vardy up ahead of him, who's not really done much recently, which isn't helping Maddison either. I think the key thing for me is if you think Vardy is going to regain some form and start putting some chances away, then Maddison's going to be a good option with the good fixtures. But again, for Wolves away and Man City at home, I'm not expecting too much. Hopefully, indeed, he will be back fully fit, playing week in, week out. That will help him too. But I think you could sell Maddison at this point and maybe get him back later on if he's showing some form. Grealish, I think he's only got 1 goal in the last 4 game weeks, no assists. So I can see why managers are getting a bit frustrated. But he was unlucky not to get something against Bournemouth. In the last 4, he's created 11 chances, so nearly as many as Maddison. But he's had 10 attempts, and 9 of the 10 were in the box. I guess the one problem with Grealish is the players he's passing to are probably not up to the standard of kind of Jamie Vardy for actually finishing the chances, which is a bit of a problem for him. But he keeps creating them. He keeps having shots in the box. If I had him, I would probably keep him for the next couple of fixtures and then maybe get rid of him for the blank and the fixtures after that. But I don't think he's done too much to warrant having to get rid. Maddison is a little bit different. I think he's been out of form for some time. The next couple of fixtures are not great. And then general wildcard thoughts, because a lot of people are talking about at the moment. I've popped mine. I've seen other people doing that too. I think don't be sucking into thinking you have to play it. There's a lot of fear of missing out involved here. Because other people are doing it, suddenly you think you have to too, which is just not the case. Everyone has their different reasons. I'm very, very lowly ranked, which is why I want to use mine and try and get ahead of the curve. If I was higher ranked, I probably wouldn't have used it with the squad that I had. I don't think it was that bad. But I'm going to try and put some differentials in there and see what happens. Maybe target that Man City game, for example. There's obviously some massive differentials around. AGUERO versus West Ham captain could be good. But outside of that, there's not too many massive kind of big hitters which feel like must-haves right now. So AGUERO looks very good. Aubameyang, Son potentially good differentials, but maybe not absolute must-haves with kind of the fixtures they have, the team form, and stuff like that. So I wouldn't really worry if you've not used your wildcard. I don't think it's a necessity to use it now. You could use it around game week 29-30 when there's a bit of a fixture swing for some teams, or you could just save it for later on in the season when you got the kind of bench boost set up in kind of game week 35 or 36. So don't panic, don't get fear of missing out. If you're happy with your squad, just carry on as you were. I feel like I have to say I'm not going to spend too long on Captaincy this week, because I say it every single week and then I spend ages on it. But this week I think there's kind of two standouts, and that would be the Man City-West Ham game, obviously Sergio Aguero. I don't think there's too much risk of him getting rotated or rested for this one. Sterling looks to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. I think the last time he missed a game, Aguero and Jesus played and they smashed Villa. I think they put 6 past them. So Aguero looks very good against West Ham. West Ham, like I already said, conceded the most shots in the box in the last 4. So definitely one to target. And I think with the winter break coming up, there's not too much risk of him not starting this game. So I think Aguero could be the standout this week. Norwich have actually kind of tightened up a little bit in terms of shots conceded in the box. They're kind of middle of the road. I think they've only conceded 1 less than actually Sheffield United over the last 4, which is pretty good, especially as they played Man United and Spurs along that run of 4 fixtures. So definitely tightened up a bit, and obviously it is at home, but it is Liverpool, it is Mo Salah. Mo Salah's looking good right now. His finish at the weekend was really, really good. Obviously got penalties as well, and just looks like the man right now, even though Mane's not really done anything wrong other than get injured at an annoying time. When he's back fully fit, I'm sure he'll be doing just as good as he was before. But Salah just looks like he's got that bit of form. There's a bit about him at the moment. And I can still see the points continue to come. So if you've not got the opportunity to get Aguero in easily, or you don't already own him, I don't think there's too much panic about going for Salah instead. I think that's a really, really good fixture. But if I had to bet on one this week, I probably would go Aguero just about. Spurs versus Villa is a bit of an outside kind of punt if you want to go for someone like Son or Moura or whoever it might be. There is talk of maybe Son playing up front instead of on the wing in the next game. He did that in the second half against Man City, and I think in general in the past when Kane has been out, Son has performed better up front, so that would be intriguing. Obviously that Spurs game is away to Villa, not at home. And Villa, like West Ham, have been conceding a lot of chances. So that's a good fixture too as a punt. And then Arsenal versus Newcastle, just not sure how much I would trust Aubameyang and Arsenal themselves to get me enough points in that game. So as a massive outside punt, you could go there. I don't think Newcastle, like I said, defensively, I think they've got the fixtures to get clean sheets going forward, but maybe not this week. And they have been conceding quite a few high quality chances as well. So expect Aubameyang to get something from that one. But I think Aguero is a standout. Followed very closely. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't even argue that much if you thought that Salah was ahead of Aguero, to be honest. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Much appreciated as always. Follow, subscribe and all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell so you know when all the other videos are going live. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about what I've said. If you've got any different opinions, any questions, stuff like that, leave them below and I'll try and get back to as many as possible. If you've not already tried out OneFootball, make sure you do. Completely free, iOS, Android stores. Go and search for it now or just click that link below. Otherwise, I will catch you next time. There's a live stream tomorrow, Thursday at 9 PM. Otherwise, if you can't make that, good luck in Game Week 26. Hopefully, my wildcard will be decent. Hopefully, there's a big green arrow coming. We'll wait and see. Catch you later all.